June 4th, 1940. Nazi forces enter Paris. Within 10 days, they control the entire city. By June 13th, 1940, the Parisians have evacuated, with the Nazis enforcing a curfew on its few remaining native inhabitants. The former City of Light waits for the Allies to arrive and lift the shadow that has fallen over Paris. However, the heroism of D-Day will have been for nothing if the Allies cannot hold the land beyond the beaches of Normandy. As decisive as Normandy, the liberation of Saint-Lô opens up the road to Paris. The American army pushes through to the southwest, while the British, Canadian, and Polish advance from the northeast. The German-controlled territory in the middle comes to be known as the Falaise Gap. The Gap sees some of the most ferocious fighting of the last Great War.
Guy sticks a gun in my face. You don't think that's enough to buy me a transfer out of this unit?
Have you thought about writing your congressman?
That's very friggin' funny.
Gear up. We're going to Saint-Germain. The 90th is short-handed, so we're getting folded into their unit. Looks like your transfer request came through.
Doyle! You listening to me, Doyle? So, as I was saying, only two things the Frenchies are any good at. Surrendering and kissing. Aboard, Louis Sergeant. How are you, BT? Skiving as usual.
Get stuffed, you fat Scottish twig!
I'm fair popular around here. You can probably tell.
Keith, give Wilkins a hand, would you? Boy can't tell his ass from his elbow. Damned good to see you again.
Wilkins, you blasted idiot. What are you doing, my friend?
Little present for the Boche. We call her Vera. Her twin over there is Lynn. It's the usual deal. Pre-dawn insertion. Our man on the ground is a Marquis named LaRoche. Decent fellow for a Frenchman. He'll take us to meet up with the French resistance. An oxymoron if ever there was one, but they're all we have. We're wheels up in an hour, so grab your kit and load in. Strap yourselves in, boys! We're almost at the jump point!
Incoming! Taking fire! I can't hold us, sir! We have to drop now!
If it reloads... Jolly good timing, Major.
Thank the quiet one there. And not just for that save. He also got the plans for the Boche's fuel depot.
Or he's baiting the trap.
LaRoche trusts him.
That makes one of us.
Marcel is one of our most trusted men, Corporal.
That's not saying much.
You seem to like us well enough when we save your lives. Perhaps next time we won't be as charitable.
I don't need some suicide detail to get me a medal.
No one's offering you a medal to do your job, Hux. Now, you read up on those aircraft bombs?
Yeah, those things are mighty dangerous. Sarge.
Your Sarge is riding up front. All right, listen up. Our job's to take the bridge as the convoy acts as our decoy from the opposite side.
So we get no armor support.
Jerry will blow the bridge at the first sight of armor. That's why Huxley here is gonna disarm the bombs before the crowds can detonate them.
Whose brilliant plan was this?
General George S. Patton. You got some kind of problem with him, too?
Nope. So long as the orders aren't coming from McCullen.
Ain't no orders coming from him. Hell, he said so much as a word for 2 days straight.
How about you worry less about the Sarge and more about those bombs, Hasty?
Yeah, I got it.
Tell Guzzo. Tell him. Tell him to go to hell.
You did good, Sarge.
Hey, Sergeant, how much longer are we gonna be here anyway?
At least until your crappy playing gives away our position. Gentlemen! We are about to take part in a most daring offensive against the enemy. Glory or a glorious death await.
We get a choice which one?
Show the lieutenant some respect.
Who's this pissant?
Private Leslie Perron, but further introduction can wait. The Germans have pulled back to the ridge. We, mes amis, are going to take it from them. All right, you heard the lieutenant. Get moving. Cole, get on that 50 cal. Peterson, start loading some ammo. And someone turn off that friggin' radio. That's not fighting music.
The Canadians continue their push south on the Falaise Road, forcing the Germans to fall back towards Falaise, while the Polish 1st Armored Division guards the Canadians' western flank. Working in concert, the four nations combine to force the Germans into a narrow corridor, trapping them between the Americans to the south and the British, Canadian, and Polish armies to the north.
For plan to work, cooperation must be perfect, like ballet. But soldiers are not dancers.
So maybe we not wait. Maybe we go right after Richter and his tanks. We are closest.
Close is dangerous. Richter has advantage in armor and supplies.
So we cut Richter's supply line.
For that, we rely on the British.
All right. LaRoche, Doyle, and Corporal Keith will take out the perimeter defenses and open the main gate.
LaRoche, Doyle et Caporal Keith détruiront les bases allemandes du périmètre et ouvriront la voie de base.
Once the gate's open, we'll move in.
Une fois que la voie est ouverte, nous nous déplacerons à l'intérieur.
Two sections will hold the entrance while one section destroys anything that looks remotely useful to Jerry.
La section 2 bloquera l'entrée tandis que la section 1 détruira tout ce qui est utile aux Boches.
And Keith, you make damn sure you get yourself past those bloody sentries as quickly as possible.
My pleasure. Look after yourself with these onion eaters.
Votre mère a la syphilis, mon ami.
Aye. Good luck to you too, Frenchie.
Let's move out!
Where the hell were you?
I left while you were setting the charges.
You're a friggin' coward's what you are. Gear up, Doyle. We're going back in.
Then 3 of you will be dead.
What the hell's that supposed to mean?
Cela signifie que votre commandant est...
Speak bloody English, for Christ's sake!
The Germans would shoot and grab on sight.
Like they shot your buddy here?
Vous osez me traiter de collaborateur?
Damn straight, I think you're un collaborateur.
Your major is dead.
And we will be too if we stay here much longer, pointing guns and accusations at one another.
Seven kills in as many days.
We're going to need more paint.
Aye.
Later. Air support is arriving. We're pushing into town.
The hunt is on. Ride, Bohater!
It's him?
Look at the tank! It's Richter's number!
This is the one. The Schwiener who drove us from the motherland.
Papa, I thought you'd be happier.
Who says I'm not?
They'll give you a promotion for this.
They'll give us all promotion for this.
I didn't want the promotion. Not this way, anyhow.
Copy that, Dix. I mean, Sarge.
Well, let's keep it Dix, okay?
You got it, Sarge.
I thought the French had already cleared this area.
Yeah, and a piss-poor job they did of it, too. The forest is still lousy with mines and barricades. 2nd Battalion can't move in till it's clear.
Wouldn't that be more of a job for the engineers?
Damn right. But the boys battalion sent in haven't been heard from in 2 days. Take 2 men and flank our advance. We're headed up that way.
Barricades clear.
Rest of the forest is clear too, Dix.
All right, Guzzo. Radio command. Area's clear.
This the same command who told us the area was already clear?
I'm getting real tired of that mouth of yours, Guzzo. The Sarge may have put up with it, but I won't. You reading me?
Yep. I got you, Sarge.
You had that one coming, Guzzo.
From what I heard, it was quite the ass chewing.
No. The Americans are rightly miffed. We were supposed to take this river days ago. Command, is too conservative. Fortune favors the bold.
Kinda hard to do with Jerry pinning our convoys down.
That ends upon our arrival, Sergeant. It ends when we get up there.
Bahater! Where's Bahater?
Firefly. He thinks steering mechanism is sticking. It's not.
Hope you're right. We have new orders. We are taking Mount Ormel next.
We? So just us?
The Canadians are right behind.
So just us.
What is Mount Ormel anyway?
The mace.
Herr Kommandant, Sie zwingen uns zum Rückzug! Das Dorf ist verloren! Jawohl, Herr Kommandant! Aber, ja, das machen wir! Jawohl, machen wir! Wir sollen das Dorf wiedernehmen! Macht bereit für den Gegenangriff!
All right, on me. Form up. All right, good work.
Dixon, battalion, on the radio.
Dixon. Okay, I'll tell them. Yes. Thank you, sir. I got some good news and bad news for you boys. The Canadians have taken the Laison River. The Poles have moved into Vimoutier to the north. Bottom line, Jerry's boxed in pretty good. We got him falling back towards Chambois.
So what's the bad news?
Chambois is where we're going next.
It's suicide! We don't have the manpower.
With backbone like that, it's hard to believe your country ever surrendered.
It's not a question of backbone. In all likelihood, your Major Ingram is dead.
Forget likelihood. If there's a snowball's chance in hell he's alive, I'm getting him out.
There isn't, and you'd be killed too.
Not just me, Frenchie. Doyle's coming with me. Let's go, Doyle. We're doing this even if we have to do it alone.
Tu vas à ta mort.
I don't know what you're saying.
Isabelle! No!
I'm sorry, Marcel. She was a brave lass. So I am. Brave as any of you, Marquis.
Buck up, man! Are our men ready?
Can anyone be ready to march into hell?
That tank crew is running out of time, Sergeant.
Sir! Word from command.
The Poles have taken Hill 262, but they lost the radio operator.
We got bigger problems than that, Private.
This adds to them, sir. Command wants us to send a radio operator to help the Poles.
Well, then get going.
Sir!
What are you waiting for? Montalbert is at least a test drive away. Oh, Baron, I'm doing you a favor. One of our tank crew has gone missing. We're going off on a rescue. Oh, that's dangerous business. You wouldn't want any part of it.
I'm not a coward, Lieutenant. My job's to protect our radio, our only link to command and...
Now your job is to be the Poles' radio. Dismiss, Private. You've got your orders, soldier.
You were a little hard on him, eh?
I've got bigger worries than that. Get ready to move out. We've got men waiting on us. What's wrong?
Fuse must be defective. Wait here.
Sergeant, no, wait!
If the fuse is defective, the charges are defective, and we're all dead!
Jonathan! Jesus.
He's okay. Lieutenant!
Oh, good. Cold. Can you stand up there, Private?
Steady there.
No, we thought we lost you for a moment there, like we lost Carajo. I'm putting it in for the Victoria Cross, you know. And you for a promotion, Corporal. All right. Someone get on the radio to command. They can start moving armor through Saint-Lambert. Let's get some reinforcements to the Polish, eh?
Taking the mace is one thing. Now we have to hold it.
That's it! They're running! We did it! We did it!
I'm sorry we got here a little late.
I want time to gather my men.
I thought I saw your squad up at the manor house.
The dead ones. I don't want to see them buried here. I want to take them home.
Well, they've certainly earned that, at least. Commander Shakowitz, are you all right?
I'll be home soon. They will surrender soon.
The Boche? That's not likely, not while they still have a way out.
That being...
Jean-Bois.
Get a 30 on that position there. Huxley, find some more sandbags.
From Major Holden.
The Poles and Canucks have taken Hill 262. Jerry's fallen back. Hard.
Towards us?
Every last godforsaken one of them.
We're gonna need more ammo.
I'm Guzzo. One rule, you're no good to me dead.
What kind of pep talk was that? You want inspiration, Private? Read a poem.
Canadian and American reinforcements arrive to help seal the Falaise Gap and close off any route of escape for the retreating German soldiers. Four days later, Allied forces liberate Paris, bringing an end to the Battle of Normandy.
He got assigned to the company up in the hedgerows, and they had just come off of a pretty bad beating up a hill number. Everything was hill number, I don't know, 122 or something. Didn't make any difference. We were some of the first replacements that they got in, and that started the go-round. We were in the deep hedgerows, which is the best place in the world to defend and the worst place in the world to attack, especially if the people that you're attacking have been there for a year or two, know every place, had it all well zeroed in. You sat in one place too long, why, you got a mortar in your hind pocket, the left or right, it didn't make any difference. Till we got out of there and started across the country with General Patton, why, it was touch and go. But the first action that I really saw was Sevis Island, and that's was not a good experience. We went up through Bourg St. Leonard, which I remember because we got really shelled, and they were really trying to keep the gap open. The Falaise Gap was a place where 3 or 4 major highways went through a big set of rolling hills. They called them mountains, we called them hills, and they all came through the same place at this town of Chambois, which formed what they called the Gap, the Falaise Gap. And they were trying to get everything they could out of it. It was the worst mess you ever saw. I never have seen such carnage. We moved on up into the town of Chambois, went through the town, and set up in the edge of an orchard. We pulled in there at night and set up our machine guns to cover the field, which was where anybody could largely attack from us. There was a lot of noise across the field, but we couldn't tell what it was. It was getting dark. So we set up and bedded down. We'd been a long ways that day. When we got up at the crack of dawn, there's even more noise over there, and all of a sudden, occurs to us when we could see real well, those are Germans making all that noise. And on top of that, they're lining up tanks and setting up guns. Well, we started shooting at the trucks and cars and stuff, and the people we could see running around, and the tanks were maneuvering, and pretty soon across the field they came. And one of the things you learned was you don't shoot 30 caliber machine guns at big tanks. And there's several reasons. First, it gets their attention, which you really don't want. And second, it makes them mad, which is even worse. And third, it doesn't do any good at all. It just does the first two things. But we shot off the infantry that they had for support. We could do that. A couple of trucks behind them, we managed to set them on fire. But as the tanks got closer, there wasn't anything we could do. And so the lieutenants that was with us and the sergeant says, sit tight, until they get real close. Because if they're real close, they can't see very well. And if you've shot off their infantry, they knew that. Well, we waited till they got right in almost amongst us, and then we took off. We went back across the stream, set up in the farm, and the tanks milled around for a while, but with no support, they were vulnerable, so they backed off and went back across the field. Pretty soon they lined up to come up again, and we shot at what we could and then took off again and back towards, but we'd got up some tank destroyers, which were we finally learned that our Shermans couldn't outgun an 88. But we brought them up to the edge of the ditch, but they couldn't see through this orchard and all the sheds and stuff that were there. And we're back screaming at them, get those tanks off of us, and they said, we can't see them, we can't shoot them. Well, then comes the idea, maybe early on shell shock or something, I don't know. I can see where they are, and I can see you. If I show you where they are, will you fire blind? And then we'll correct. And they said, sure. So, all right, I lined it up myself and say that small building there, which were made just out of almost loose stones. There's a big tank right behind that one. You aim at me, and I'll line up. I'll get out of the road, and then you shoot. And those guys are good. They would put an armor piercing through the building and then follow it up with an HE. And they never parked in wide open. They parked behind trees or bushes or something. And they knocked out 2 tanks and chased another one off. And that was working. I'm still out in the middle, feeling pretty smart, and hiding behind an apple tree, apple orchard. Well, I didn't see the third tank, or the fourth tank, or whatever one it was. And he shoots me right through the apple tree. French apple trees are not worth a damn. Bullet penetrated the tree and most of the way through my leg without ever hitting anything vital. What the sensation is, I don't recommend it, but felt like being hit with a sledgehammer. And I honestly couldn't tell you whether I had a leg, didn't have a leg, it was busted, or I could run like hell. Tank is coming after me. He quit shooting. I guess he's going to run over me. I don't know. Maybe he thought he didn't need to. And real quick decision, either I can run like hell or this is it. And I took off out of there like a screaming bullet. Ran around the corner of a building and fell over another tank. This is one of the so-called humorous things that you like to remember later. Clang. I ran into that thing. It must have made a terrible racket. Fell down, looked up, and there's a German up in the turret trying to assess the situation. I suppose a tank commander maybe. And for once, thank goodness for training, I was still carrying my rifle. And I recovered before he did and shot him. He went plunk down the tank, and I went zip again back towards Mother. Mother, that's the two tank destroyers. The tank's right behind me. They said that I got about 40, 50 feet from the ditch, and he went zip down in the ditch. I'm snuggled up between dead horses, cows, Germans, in this creek in the bottom. Anyhow, when the smoke cleared, they'd knocked out a couple of the tanks, damaged the other ones, so they left, and came down in the ditch and dragged me out. Said they had to pour some water over me before they could get too close to me. I'm deaf in a post. Got me up to the top and checked me out to see that other than the hole in my leg, which at the speed I'd come in wasn't too bad, washed me down. I went over to an aid station, and the doctor slaps a super Band-Aid on it and said, "You want to go to the hospital?" And I said, "No, I'm still mobile." And once they closed the gap and the prisoners started, as soon as we shot up to the last tanks, white flags started popping up. We'd had a lot of different people wounded and everything. And the problem was, once they sent them to the hospital, we didn't get them back. And you get really attached. They say family ties are strong. The ties you get with the people you serve with like that are about as strong as they can get.
In Sherman tank, my function was the main gunner. The whole team was 5 of us. The commander of the tank, I was the gunner, then a loader and a radio operator, and then down in the front there was a driver and a second driver, which also had a machine gun in the bottom. So now, my very beginning, when we went in a battle not very far from Caen, was a little shaky. After a couple of days, you get used to it. So when you see killed people, killed soldiers, you don't react. It's only first day that you are shaking. And after that, well, it's like nothing, because your affection is different, because you get used to it. Until we got on that hill 262, the Falaise. That was a hell. I don't know how many vehicles we destroyed. We lost 5 tanks. In my tank, we got 2 anti-tank bullets. One bullet hit the transmission where the oil flown everywhere and a fire started. So in a tank, the oil was burning, so now the main driver was killed, second next to him was killed. I was I was shocked and lost my power to do anything. I was halfway, didn't know what to do. But the loader, he got out first. The commanding, he jumped out from the tank. The loader and the radio operator, by me, he got out, and I hardly came to the tower, to the opening on the top. And he helped me out. He grabbed me in here by my arms in here, and he helped me to pull me out. But he left me halfway hanging. He fell because he burned more his side, because the flame was going through the hole, and my legs were burning. By the time I got out, so one thing I remember up to today, for a moment I was thinking, what is heavier, the legs or my head? If the legs are heavier, I slip again. I didn't have any power to move if my head, then maybe so, and I fell by the tank and lost my memory and conscience, and that was all. When I woke up, I was about maybe 300, maybe 500 yards away in the woods, and somebody covered me with some kind of a blanket. But already my blood was all over, and I was burned, my hair burned, and what was left on me is on this side. But this side was already completely burned. My trousers on one legs, and so anyway, my legs were burned very, very bad. So I lay down for a couple hours, and we were laying on one path. Maybe there was about 40 of us or 30. And the German came, and they were hitting a little one officer because somehow they felt that he knows German. And they were asking if he speak German and so on. And he said, no, but they were just playing with him. And that was about an hour. Then suddenly our unit came, they ran away. So my fighting was short because between Caen and Falaise, that was over a month. And that was all.
When they formed us up to drive on to Falaise, they had the armor unit up front, including the British Churchill tanks. They brought those in, and they lined us up all 10 abreast, the tanks, and the Churchill tanks had flamethrowers with them. They pulled a tank behind it, an armored tank behind holding the fluid, and the line ran through the tank, and they shot the fluid out the front end about, they would hit anywhere from 150 to 200 yards with fluid. It would burn and just burnt everything in front of them. And behind that were the Sherman tanks, and then after that the Bren gun carriers, which were a British Canadian unit, the full track armored vehicle, open on top, but. And then behind that came the soft skins, and we all rode. We were riding. In fact, I was in scout platoon. We weren't necessary to be out front. We were in the back, riding in a soft skin vehicle, as the rest of the division was. The rest of the Argylls were anyway. And so we rode in these vehicles and went right across country, about 20, 25 miles, and just, I don't know, it was just hilarious to see this thing all lined up moving. And it was like a Wild West show already. The fellows were shooting their guns off and yelling and screaming and having a ball. And in the meantime, out front, they were burning up the Germans as they went with these tanks and just swept right across country. It was really a sight to behold that I would probably never see again and never would. But it was really worthwhile to see. The regular German soldier was just like anybody else. And they were just guys. I mean, they were easy to get along with, and some of them were happy to get captured, you know. But not the SS. The German soldiers themselves, they were frightened of the SS themselves, okay? Because sometimes if they were told not to retreat, they had the SS behind them to make sure they didn't retreat, you know, and they shoot their own men. And this P-38 that I took off this officer, we were on a sweep, and I was about to walk up. We were stationed over maybe 50 or 75 yards apart, and I came across this walkway up, driveway up into the barn, and I was going to go up into there, see if there's anybody up there. And all of a sudden, a person yelled from a ditch, he said, "Don't go up there, you better come down here with me." Spoke in very broken English. And I jumped in the ditch with him. And he was a veterinarian, and he was educated in England. And thus the broken English, but I took his gun from him, and he said, "There are 3 SS in that barn, and they'll kill me just as quick as they'll kill you." So I fired a couple of shots off to get the other guys to come around, and we got the 3 SS out of there. One of the guys got up and threw a grenade and got them out. Didn't hit anybody, but they got them out. In another case, the next day we were out doing another sweep, and we ran across a whole platoon of SS. And we had a little battle fight with them, killed 2 of them before they gave up. And but they were miserable. They were just really, really, really bad. I mean, they were bad to deal with, you know. Not friendly, not anything, just really bad. At the Falaise Gap, when the Germans were trying to break through, that was the worst scene I've ever seen or ever want to see ever. The Germans kept trying to push out, and they kept just mowing them down. And the Germans used a lot of horses. And the horses were piled up, and the bodies were piled up, and they just kept trying to break out. That was a really horrendous experience. We were just scattered along an area. In fact, where we were, the Germans from the battle before were still laying there, you know. So we were just kind of. It was at night, and we were around a farmyard actually. And in fact, later on, when the Germans we had stopped them, and we were going back. And it was so dark that you couldn't see your hand in front of you almost. And I never will forget, another fellow and I were heading back towards the barn, and we ran smack dab into a cow and scared the devil out of us because we didn't know there was a cow there, and you couldn't see it. That's how dark it was. That was unusual because always, usually at night, you'd see something, but that was a very dark night. But we got the word that to pull back since they knew at some point in time they knew the Germans had quit. So the scout platoon got pretty well depleted by the time we got to Germany. From originally altogether maybe 30 guys, it wound up being about 10 by the time we got to Germany. The depletion got pretty heavy. I've often said that I'd never do that again, never volunteer again. But I wouldn't trade my experience for anything I've ever had, anything I've ever done. I think those 5 years I spent in the Army taught me more than I could have ever learned in any kind of schooling operation.